This is the 90-90 exercise for hip mobility. So you're going to set up in what's called the 90-90 position. So you have your knee at a 90-degree angle, and same with the back leg. So this can be a bit uncomfortable, and it shouldn't be. So if you find that setting up in this position is a bit too much, you can use wedges or a cushion to prop yourself up, so it's not as much of an initial stretch. And before we launch into the proper exercise, you want to sort of settle in to the ranges of motion. So just a nice controlled drop in and out of the stretch. So as I'm down here, I'm really going to be feeling that in my left hip. It's quite a deep stretch. So it can be a bit intense at first. So before we launch into the proper exercise, we want to ease into this a bit if this is brand new for you. You don't want to stay too long in one position, just sort of dynamically move in and out. You can go all the way down, bring your chest down to your knee. But again, don't stay for too long, move slowly back up. You should be able to breathe comfortably throughout. It should just be a deep stretch at most. It shouldn't be painful. So in this position we're going to work both ways with, so at the moment we're focusing on the left leg, and then we'll swap around and do the right leg. We're going to mostly do what are called isometric contractions. So these are contractions where the muscle is contracting very hard but the joint isn't moving, so we're using the ground to create resistance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prop myself up with my outside hand, stay relatively upright, and then with my other hand I'm going to cup under the knee, and I'm driving the knee, I'm trying to drive the knee into the ground, but my hand is matching that resistance. Or I can do it with the ground as well. It's a bit easier if you do it with your hand. So the hand is matching the resistance. We're going to hold that strong contraction for about 5 seconds, and then let go and just lean into that stretch, get a bit deeper into the hip. So the further you bring the chest down, the more you're going to feel a really broad and deep hip stretch. Again, if you go even further down, that can reach into your low back, and we can play around with that as well. So you're going to set up like this, cup the knee, try and drive the knee into the ground, match that pressure with the hand, hold for 5 seconds, and relax and lean in. So once you're used to this general procedure, what we can do is we can begin to couple it with our breathing. So we always want to work proper breathing technique into any exercises if it makes sense. And in this case I think it does make a lot of sense. So what we want to do is contract on an inhale, and on the exhale we're going to stretch into the hip. So same breathing applies, nasal breathing always, lips sealed, jaw relaxed, tongue to the roof of the mouth, airway open, eyes on the horizon. Inhale and exhale. Inhale again. And exhale. What you can begin to do is, once you've gone sort of back and forth and gotten used to the stretch, is you can change the stretch a bit by changing the way you reach. So if you're reaching straight forward, you're going to get one stretch, but if you reach a bit to the side, you're putting a bit more of a twist through the spine, which is going to hit different fibers of the muscles of the hip. So there's no wrong way to do this once there's no pain. Again, the key is to be pain-free and then to just play around with it. Where can you move while maintaining full control? So can I get into here? The stretch is a bit different. I can move to here. The stretch is a bit different again. So you can play around with that once you're getting the main movement. So you're doing your contraction and relax, and I can stretch into here. And on the next one I can stretch into here. If you want to make that even stronger of a stretch, you can bring in the arm. So I'm contracting, getting a strong contraction to the hip as I inhale. And then as I relax, exhale, and move into the stretch, I can go palm up and reach out to my side, which is putting quite a nice twist through the spine, and it's putting a nice stretch from my fingertips all the way spiraling down to my hip. So it's a nice way to get a really big stretch that should feel quite nice. Another variation we can do is, so far we've been cupping at the knee, which is going to get the hip in a certain way. What we can do as well is we can cup sort of at the heel and try to drive the heel into the ground and match the pressure with our hand. And that's going to get just more bordering onto the hamstring part of the hip. It's still very much a hip stretch, but it's just slightly different. And the best thing is for you to play around with these different setups and see which ones are really benefiting your range of motion and reducing pain and so on. So same thing applies. I'm driving the foot into the ground and matching that pressure as I inhale through the nose. And then relax as I exhale and just lean into that stretch. So then you can move on to the other leg. You can do a bit of a tougher transition. It wouldn't be for beginners, but I'll show you the tough transition. So we're going to shift our weight onto our forward leg. We're going to begin to lift the outside leg up and slowly bring it around and set it up here. And it's just the same thing but with the other leg. So this shin is now facing forward, so just for the camera I'm going to sit up here, and the same thing applies. Initially I want to sort of lean into this a bit, just get used to the range. If you're doing this first thing in the morning, you don't want to jump into it straight away without loosening up a bit. This is a stretch that's getting very deep into the hip capsule, which is something we want to influence for long-term hip health, but we also have to be careful. So once you've eased into this and played around with the angles and got a bit of a light dynamic stretch, we're into our isometric contractions. So same thing, I'm sort of posting up with my outside hand just to remain upright. And I'm driving the knee into the ground, but I'm cupping and matching that resistance. Inhale, strong contraction for about 5 seconds, and let go as we exhale and lean into the stretch. Slowly back up. Inhale. Exhale. Again, we can play around as we're exhaling and stretching in. We can bring the chest out, which is twisting through the spine. We can lean back in, and we can bring in the hand. So as I'm stretching down, I can go palm up and reach out to the side. Just going to put a really nice spiraling stretch through the spine. So I'm going to run through it just step by step now.